Yeah. Know what it is by now. DL47 all day, in this building on the grind, handling my business AM PM, already know what it is. DL47's Rugby League stats, where we pop off as much Rugby League information as possible. This time, we've got all the games from 1920 round 9 in Australian Rugby League. Previously, I did a video where Annandale and University played each other in 1920 round 9, the only time those two ever played each other. So I thought, why not this time? Why not just do the whole round, all 4 games in that round? So, let's get straight into it. Like I said before, in the University versus Annandale video, that game was played on July 17th, 1920. In actual fact, all 4 games of the round were played on July 17th, 1920, and we used 4 different venues, which was good to see. In the early days of the game, it was still, all the teams were in Sydney, and we hadn't branched out into different states and territories and countries yet, but it was good to see we were using 4 grounds instead of just 1 or 2 grounds. But anyway, so let's go through all the games, 1920 round 9. So first of all, like I previously said, at Birchgrove Oval, which is the very birthplace of Rugby League, I previously said University had just beat Annandale 13 points to 8, and that was the only time the 2 least successful teams ever played each other. The fact that 1920 was the only year they were both in the competition at the same time. So obviously that game, 2 teams way down the bottom of the ladder, where they were accustomed. In the middle of the ladder, over at the SCG, we saw the Glebe Dirty Reds play Western Suburbs, and it was a hard-fought one, very tense, hard-fought battle, which was great to see, and Western Suburbs making an impressive account of themselves, but eventually Glebe, with just a bit more stamina, eventually got the win, 10 points to 5. Unusual scorelines, because at the time tries used to be 3 points, therefore Glebe's 10 points is 2 converted tries, and West's 5 points is just the 1 converted try. So, impressive, yes, impressive by both teams, but Glebe just getting home 10 points to 5. Then, at the top of the ladder, we saw Balmain versus Norths over at North Sydney Oval. Balmain, of course, ended up winning the comp in 1920 with a phenomenal team they had at the time, which won 5 premierships in 6 years between 1915 up to 1920. And Balmain, this time, didn't have it all their own way, weren't superior like they were in most of the games they won, but eventually they beat Norths 7 points to 5 to get a very important away victory at North Sydney Oval. And the Norths, their 5 points, 1 try and 1 goal, both by Duncan Thompson, whereas Balmain also got only 1 try, so props to Norths for keeping the unbelievable Balmain team to only 1 try. Balmain also getting only 1 try, a player called Horry Watt getting their try, but Balmain's goal kicker, Mick Russell, he actually got 2 goals to give them their 7 points. So Mick Russell's 2 goals for Balmain, that was enough to get them the win over North, who only got 1 goal via Duncan Thompson. So Balmain 7, North 5. Then, also at the top of the ladder, South versus Eastern Suburbs, the 2 most acrimonious, bitterest arch rivals of them all, playing at the Royal Agricultural Showground, which was their home ground at the time. And, of course, we expect even these days, watching Rugby League, whenever Roosters Rabbitohs play, there's always some sort of drama that does go on with those 2 always going at it. Even way back then in 1920, we still saw some incredible things happen. Eventually, South beat East 14 points to 11, 1920 round 9, despite the fact that Eastern Suburbs had actually scored more tries in this one. So, Eastern Suburbs getting 3 tries but only 1 goal via Wally Messenger, that's their 11 points, whereas South Sydney only got 2 tries, but their 4 goals by the goal kicker Arthur Oxford, that's what enabled them to steal the win, if you would, against the arch enemy Eastern Suburbs 14 points to 11. So there you go, 1920 round 9. We saw University defeat Annandale 13 points to 8 at Birchgrove Oval, the birthplace of Australian Rugby League. The only time the 2 worst teams ever played each other. Then over at the SCG, we saw Glebe just outlast West 10 points to 5. At North Sydney Oval, we saw Balmain just outlast North Sydney 7 points to 5. And at the Royal Agricultural Showground, South, incredibly, coming up trumps over Eastern Suburbs 14 points to 11, despite scoring less tries than them. So there you go, 1920 round 9, your boy DL47.